And I think the NFC North in particular is the epicenter of that explosion in the NFC. Obviously, you have Jared Goff, who is the most proven quarterback in that division. You have Jordan Love, who is, probably the second most proven, even despite starting just 1 year, but looked fantastic and is now being paid as a top 10 quarterback. Then you have two rookies, right? You have J.J. McCarthy and you have Caleb Williams. And I'm watching Caleb Williams, and I think he's spectacular. Everybody that's been listening to the podcast knows that he is my guy, not your guy. You don't think he's going to be all of that. You think he's going to be good, but not all of that. I think he is going to be spectacular, top 10 quarterback the day he walks into the league. I have him winning a playoff game this season. I think Jordan Love is clearly spectacular. The arm talent jumps off the page. He's mobile enough. He's got a bunch of young weapons that they're able to grow and learn together, and it does not seem like they're stopping anytime soon. And then, of course, like I said, you have J.J. McCarthy. Sam Darnold maybe for a couple games, but J.J. McCarthy long-term is that quarterback. I might not be his biggest fan. I don't think he is going to be a top 10 quarterback, but he's certainly talented enough that with Kevin O'Connell, who we think is fantastic. I don't know if that's highly disputable at this point. Kevin O'Connell's a fantastic coach, especially with quarterbacks. J.J. McCarthy should be pretty good. And I'm thinking about my guy Jared Goff, because I've been a Jared Goff supporter. I've been a Kirk Cousins supporter, a Derek Carr supporter for a long time, Russell Wilson, and Jared Goff. It's like this group of quarterbacks that is pretty overlooked, but in reality, over the span of their career, they've been a top 12 guy. Even though people usually rank them somewhere around 15, 16, 17, they've been consistently, statistically, wins, all of that, roughly a top 12 guy. And so I've been a supporter of Jared Goff, but I'm sitting there, it's like, how many years before he's the fourth best quarterback in the division? Like, he might be, as of right now, the most productive quarterback maybe this coming season, but do we expect that to actually carry forward, short/long term, we'll say the next 2 to 5 years? I don't. I think it's a 2-year runway this year and maybe a little bit of next year where he is the far and away best and most productive quarterback in that division. And I know I've said this about Baltimore. I've said this about Cincinnati. What is their window like? Because if Joe Burrow gets hurt again, Cincinnati's window is pretty much closed for this rendition of this team. Before you kind of have to say, that's fine, we're still going to go with Joe, we have him locked up long term, but we're going to kind of reboot this thing, right? We're going to clear our books, we're going to be bad for a year while Joe's hurt, and we're going to kind of recoup some money here. Right? Same thing with Lamar. How many more playoff losses and playoff disappointments before we're kind of looking at him like, this is kind of the ceiling, this is what we expect, and it's kind of for him to disappoint in the playoffs. And are we getting to a point with that with the Lions? I know they just peaked last year, but with all the young talent in that division, how far out are they from saying, I feel like we have the fourth best quarterback in our division, we should probably reboot. I know it's crazy because you just signed Jared Goff and I like the contract, but I only give it this year and next year to where they're like very clearly the best team with the best quarterback in that division. Maybe I'm crazy. I feel like I'm maybe a little bit soon on this where I'm kind of calling their end before they're really even started, right? I feel like they're kind of just peaking with a lot of young talent. And I'm not saying this is the end, but I'm saying I don't think they're that far off from having to reboot this thing in about 2 years with all this young quarterback talent. Caleb, JJ, Jordan Love. Already, Jared's the fourth most talented quarterback. How soon before he is the fourth best, most productive on-field Sunday matters quarterback in that division? I'm going 2 years. Again, I feel like I'm a little bit doomsday here. I'm not calling for their demise right now, but I'm saying just keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on the pressure with the Lions because it's real now. It's real. They're a real organization with a real coach, real GM, real quarterback. They have real expectations this year. Are they going to deliver on those expectations? How many years can they deliver on those expectations?
I get what you're saying. Totally do. And the thing that you have to remember here, and I think the premise of it all, is that timing is everything, especially in the NFL. You have your windows, they open and they close quite frequently. You have to kind of hit things at the right time. That's why it's so hard to win a Super Bowl. You have to have the coach. You have to have the quarterback. You have to have the entire team, the framework built around healthy. Everything. But you also have to be lucky. You have to have all of that come together in a time where maybe things are a little shaky in the division. Maybe the top dog for a while has kind of fallen off a little bit, like we saw in New England, and then you see the rise of the Bills and kind of Miami gets in there. Timing is everything in this league. You have have to go off when teams are plummeting and rebuilding, and the division's a little easy. Well, guess what? That's probably going to be a pretty damn good window to go win it, at least, obviously the division, and then get onto the conference championship and hopefully get to the Super Bowl and win it. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. I'm just saying, I agree with you to an extent. I don't know how long that window lasts either, but I think it's a little longer.
No. Back to your point where you have to get lucky. The Patriots had a dynasty because I know the Jets were good in a little bit, and those teams in the division were bad partially because the Patriots were so good. But that division was a tire fire the entire run.
Absolutely.
The entire run. Let's transition.